We're out in Nazareth, where Mayor Mashaba has just And good evening and welcome back to Your View. Thank you, Carmen, for that news feed. Of course, Tshwane reeling under a sex scandal, and the ANC, perfecting the art of what's good for the geese and not good for the gander. I did not hear them make noise when the tigers of Pretoria, the tigers of Lutuli House were all over young women here causing trouble and so on. So I think we should sometimes just, be fair-handed about how we make noise about these things. But I'll not talk about that today. We'll spare that for tomorrow. Tonight I want to talk about safety in the city. Let's have a look. I was out in Nazareth this morning with a pass-out parade of 1,084 metro officers added to make the city of Johannesburg a safer place. And I had a chat with the mayor, the outgoing mayor, Herman Mashaba, as well as the police chief, David Tabane. Let's take a look. We're out in Nazareth, where Mayor Mashaba has just given an address to over 1,085 new recruits of the JMPD, where they took an oath of office to serve the people of Johannesburg. His message is war unto criminals who are roaming the streets of Johannesburg. The mayor, together with the chief of police, David Tabane, have also officiated at this very important pass-out parade. Really a big song for Mashaba, whose term of office ends this week as he resigns as the mayor of Johannesburg. Of course, dignitaries, MMCs, directors from both the local JMPD as well as the South African Police Service gathered here at Nazareth in a moment of pride, really, a first in South African policing where so many, over 1,500 recruits have been added to the army of Metro Police who will keep our streets safe. Chief, looks like a fantastic day out here in Nazareth. 1,085 additional police, truly a big army. What is the rationale behind launching this now, particularly on the eve of the festive season?
Yeah, the reason why we're launching it now is because we believe in visible policing. We are tired of seeing people dying on our road. In a city, having them on our roads, it will increase visibility. Remember, if a person sees a blue light, he will automatically reduce his speed, or if he wanted to commit crime, he won't commit a crime. Yeah. So this, it's a bonus from the executive mayor.
Whether you're a mayor, you're a president, you're a lieutenant general, any police officer seeing someone breaking the law, whatever law, people them has to really be consequences. And the one issue that I've raised that is of major concern to me, and I really want us as South Africans to engage on, is the whole issue of actually tying the hands of our policemen and women from doing their work. And I'm not for one moment asking for police to go and act with impunity. But please, every time a policeman or woman does something, before we go out to criticize, please let's allow the investigation to happen. Because honestly, most of up to 80% of the cases where our policemen and women were criticized, all 80% of them also equally is unacceptable. We lose men and women every day, being killed or being maimed. But we don't see the same outcry from civil society. Absolutely. What do you think? This is our brothers, this is our first line of defense. We as society and community, we are the ones to protect our men and women in blue.
Well done, man. Hey, well done, Mashaba. Really, really living with a bang, isn't it? Living with a bang. It's his last day on Wednesday, and on Thursday we'll have a new mayor. And we're hoping to talk to whoever is the new mayor here on Your View next week sometime. But also to focus a lot more on the issue of safety. Are we safe? When people leave for holidays and so on, are their houses safe? Are streets going to be populated this year with 1,085 more police? Would this indeed make us a lot more safer? So well done there to Chief David Tembe and Mayor Helen Mashaba, as well as MMC Son, with all of them in charge of our safety and security. But I wanted to talk, of course, about 16 days of activism against women. You know, when you talk about gender-based violence, you know, there's nothing that makes me feel so repetitive as to talk about this issue of gender-based violence. But I always hope that when I talk, even if I repeat myself, some new person who did not hear me the last time will listen. There are two issues that center our problem of gender-based violence. And none of them have to do with money, by the way, Mr. President. Because you seem to think that you have now solved the matter by saying, I'm going to give millions and so on. By the way, I'll be very surprised if the presidency, since the announcement, has worked out how they're going to distribute that money amongst NGOs, amongst local government, amongst foundations that are dealing with gender-based violence. But I may be wrong. I don't want to be too negative. But if they have, then well done. I'm happy to be proved wrong. But I'll be very surprised if they did already. Because we specialize in pronouncements. Announcement, they launch. I don't know who told them, or you have to launch everything. Why don't you just work? Rather you launch Women's Month, when launch International Women's Month, launch 16 days. You launch. Para liberate, rather launch. Liberate, launch, man. Launching, abused women, build a shelter, do something. Whatever, no, just to put a tent, fella who launch must have cost thousands. It's bad. It's bad how we think that launching is the best thing that has ever happened since sliced bread. But anyway, without digressing, two things are at the center of gender-based violence. The first one is the failure to lead by example. Failure to lead by example. I want to hear the president tell me what he thinks of Gwede Mantashe's conduct and Tito Mbowene's conduct. On the 1st of December, we'll be making song and dance within the 16 days about HIV and AIDS. Yesterday, we heard how terrible the situation is in Johannesburg, just in Joburg alone. At the AIDS conference, we heard how now we are sitting with more than 2,500 infections a week. Because we once again, just like in the denialist years, we are led by leaders who don't think there's a problem. There's no problem at and what have you. And we have blessed us in cabinet. You want to tell me you are leading by example when you have blessed us in your cabinet and you haven't said a word to condemn it. And then you tell me about the $1 billion you are giving for gender-based violence. Why don't you start in your cabinet and denounce ministers who are sleeping with young girls and think it's fine? I'm sure I know it's yeah, that's the response we will get. That's the response we will get. You think by not leading by example, you are going to defeat the scourge of gender-based violence and the HIV/AIDS that's ravaging this country. You must be joking. You really must be joking. Bless us in cabinet, roaming around. You know, it's a joke to them. It's a joke. But it's tiger. They're competing about who lasts longer in bed, who has a big one and a small one.
and you telling me that you are launching 16 days of activism. Because we don't say these things. So, no, you can't say, in Africa you need to respect. You cannot like this. We're talking about people here who are failing this country every day. And the gender-based violence is only a symptom of the failure of leadership at the very top in this country. Lecture. The Tambo who should be ashamed of some of the leaders we have, some of the leaders he left us with. We're going to an Tambo lecture. Who should be turning in his tomb. And I must be thankful for small mercies, thankful that the government has decided, after years of failure of the system, to now put R1 billion for gender-based violence. The same cabinet, where they are blessers, are now deciding on this big money that are going to run. They're going to throw money at this problem. But what about the president just say, I don't want ministers who are blessers in my cabinet? Well, how about say that? Then I will understand that you understand that the HIV/AIDS is a crisis in this country. Gender-based violence is a crisis. If you can just lead by example, don't consort with women bashers. If you can stop yourself in the tracks of not consorting with women bashers who surround you as advisors, as fellow comrades, as fellow top 6 members, as members of your cabinet, I will take you serious. And then there's a conspiracy of silence. Hey, now you get number 1. Conspiracy of silence. Just try and say, Chief, please don't do that. And we have to hide their misdemeanors until someone dies. And then you will see the statements flying around about femicide. Oh, how terrible. Oh, femicide, so bad in our country and so on. But in your own church, in a pew, in your own church, in your own parish, you know of someone there who's beating up their wife to a pulp. And you are the one rushing there to say, no, scam reporter, you will destroy their career. Oh, no. This person will be removed from the role of tennis, will be removed from the role of business. They will be removed from clergy if you report them. Please, let's solve it at home. And that conspiracy of silence is what makes our women to be unsafe, our society to be a piece of shame when it comes to supporting and protecting the vulnerable women and children. And then we launch 16 days of activism. Wait, hey, well, let's tick the box. Wait, how I feel ready Christmas 16 days. If I like 10 years, the country shuts down, it's business as usual, life goes on. We are in trouble, South Africa. So 16 days here, nevertheless, we will not tire to talk about it and call out those who are hypocrites where that is concerned. At the bottom of this hour, Carol Ntolo tells me about her story. She's written a book about survivors' tales, and it just shows you what is going on behind the scenes. We can theorize all we want, but what about the tales of survivors of gender-based violence? Let's take a break now.